Hello, welcome. I have not posted a YouTube video in, I think, over a year. I'm not looking in the camera. Oh my god, I forgot how you do an intro. I also am having an identity crisis because I want to be myself, but also, who am I? Like, what is myself? Am I energetic? Am I sweet? Am I quiet? Am I funny? And I keep playing with my hair as if that's gonna change how my intro goes. We're gonna dive in. Hi, I'm Laura. This is Ella. And we're here today. Well, I'm here. She's snoozing on the job. But I'm here to tell you all about my March, wrap up all the books I read in March. And surprisingly, I read 9? No, I read 8. Okay, I've read 9 so far this year. 1 in February. I did not read anything in January. Read 1 book in Feb. And I've read 8 books in March. And I'm also 54% through 1 right now, so it's looking good for the rest of the year. Let's get into all the books I read. The first one I finished this month was none other than A Court of Silver Flames, and my copy, if you can see here, of course you can see here. That is so rude to someone who might have a disability and can't see. But if you can see here, I have book stacks. A Court of Silver Flames is massive. I have the hardback version. So it's currently at the bottom of one of those stacks. And the thought of me going and playing Jenga to grab it to show you, I couldn't justify it. But I did read A Court of Silver Flames. I loved it. It was a very, very bittersweet moment. I started it in January. Okay, so that's the book I've been reading and just did not let me finish anything else because I think it's 900 pages. I'm about to fact check. Goodreads changed up their UI, UX. I hope it means that the platform will become better because there's so many cool things they could do with it. It is in fact 757 pages, so it took me a long time to get through, but I loved it. A quick disclaimer, I really do not rank or not rank, but I don't rate my books. Like, I don't give them star ratings. Why am I telling you all this? Let's get back into the books. I did not think I would enjoy a book from Nesta's POV because I was such a Nesta hater the first 3 books plus novella of the Akatar series. I really didn't like her. I just thought she was mean, and I'm not a fan of genuinely mean people. Why would I want to read about you? And I thought Farah deserved a lot better in her sister. So when I realized that no more books would be in Farah and Reese's POV, also, how funny is it that his name is Rhysand? I really thought it was Rhysand, but then that'd be like rice. So, you know, that's kind of weird. When I figured that no more books are from their POVs, I was a bit disappointed. I knew I would still finish them. Like, I've read all of Throne of Glass and Crescent City, the 2 that are out. So I knew I would read this, but it was the last published Sarah J. Maas book that I owned and have to read. So I was procrastinating a lot. I finally got to it, fell in love with Nesta, and I had a huge self-reflection because I was thinking, I'm kind of like Nesta. Like, some of my friends, not say I'm mean, but I'm very blunt and honest, and she can be like that. She takes it too far and hurts people on purpose. Her internal monologue and her relationship with Cassian, I enjoyed it. It's so smutty. The change between the first 3 and this one, oh my gosh. The other ones were like breadcrumbs and mostly closed door, or like a little hint of something. This book was every other chapter, it felt like, which I'm not complaining. I thought it was great. The book is so long that it doesn't feel like the smut overpowers everything else because you have so many pages and chapters of character development. I love also the female friendships because Nesta really needs to heal in this book, right? She's just had huge monumental life changes happen at the end of the last book in the series. I don't want to spoil anything, but she makes a lot of really deep and meaningful female friendships to help her heal, along with obviously her relationship with Cassian. It is still romance fantasy at the end of the day, but I really enjoyed that because I love my female friends. I thought this book was really great. If you liked the first 3, it is a different tone, but you still get to see the inner circle and the characters you love, so you'll probably enjoy it. Next, I read Roomies by Christina Lauren. Basically, there's this girl who has a crush on a guy. Well, not really, because she doesn't know him, but she sees him on the subway a lot singing and playing guitar, and she kind of develops like an infatuation because she'll take a longer route home to go hear him sing and play. Wild turn of events, something happens. He auditions for a role because someone in her family works in like a production for a musical or a show, and they need a guitarist. And long story short, he's not a citizen. So, well, this is set in New York, my bad. He's not an American citizen, he's Irish, and she agrees to marry him so that he can be in the show and get like a green card or a whatever working visa for America. So it's marriage. Is that called marriage of convenience, the trope? I typically hate those because I just think it's unrealistic. And as a hopeless romantic, you would think I'd be okay with any love story, but no, I like them to be realistic still, like the situation that they're put in. I want to see the feelings developing, but also be in my mind like, oh, this could happen to me, but this would never happen to me. I'm not gonna marry a stranger. What? So anyway, that kind of took me out of the romance a little bit, but if you love that trope, you will like this. I think the relationship was developed pretty well. I liked the side characters a lot, and that is a common theme with Christina Lauren. I think they develop the friends and family really well as well, like apart from just the two main characters. So I don't know, you love everyone in the book. I wasn't super invested, but it was a very quick read. And it was good. Next, I read something very unexpected for me, A Bend in the Road by Nicholas Sparks. And basically, backstory, I created a TBR jar because at the start of this year, I had 100 books on my physical TBR. I'm now at 90. But I created a TBR jar because, one, to motivate me to read more, because it's just so fun to go in and pick the little sticky note and have a surprise on what I'm going to read next. Also, just to change up what I'm reading, because I have such a variety of books, I want it to be randomized. This book, I didn't even buy it. I got it for Christmas from a family friend who knows I love to read. And I read that's a lie. I've read one Nicholas Sparks book before, and I loved it so much. I think it was called Every Breath. It's very fuzzy in my brain, but I distinctly remember me sitting on a train going home because I don't live with my parents and reading that book and wanting to sob and loving every second of it. I loved the characters. Anyway, A Bend in the Road. This was wild. First of all, there is a kid involved, and normally I don't really like when they have children because I'm 20 years old. I'm not having kids anytime soon. So again, it kind of puts me out of the romance because I can't picture it being me. But I kind of liked his kid. It is a widow father. Are they still called widows if it's a man? I think so. But anyways, single dad trope. He falls in love with the teacher of his kid who just moved to this town. The way his wife died is kind of mysterious and an unsolved crime in this small town that they live in, and that is a major plot point as well, which drives the book forward. And he's the sheriff. I think that's wrong. But he's law enforcement. He's a cop or something. Like, he's something in law enforcement in this small town. I think he's just a cop, maybe not the sheriff. The romance was definitely the forefront of the book, but I really loved the mystery part and like the solving the crime because I had no idea. I had so many bad theories. Like, I would say, oh my God, I know it's this guy or it's this girl. And then 3 pages later, I'm like, oh, well, it's definitely not, because they kind of unveil that it couldn't have been them. It's long and the font is so small. It's a different vibe from the books I normally read in the romance genre, but I really liked it. Next was another TBR jar pick, and it is Two Can Keep a Secret by Karen M. McManus. This I thought was a sequel to One of Us is Lying. I really don't think it was. It is a similar vibe. I honestly couldn't tell you if it's the same city or small town or world, but I read One of Us is Lying 3 years ago, I think, and I really, really liked that book. So I bought 2 more books by this author. This one was fine. I think I've just kind of grown out of YA mystery. I really didn't enjoy that famous trilogy, the Inheritance Games, and everyone loved it. I don't know why, it just didn't resonate with me. So I was kind of hesitant to pick this one up because I think it's similar, like it's YA mystery, right, with subplot of romance. I was kind of bored. I forced myself to finish it pretty quickly because I just wanted to get through it. Also, since it's YA, it's quite easy to digest. I can remember who did it. I was pretty shocked by the reveal, but I also didn't care that much. Then I read another YA, again, a TBR jar pick. I should just show you my jar, but I'm not gonna get up. And this is The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. I loved the Cruel Prince trilogy. Honestly, I sped read those, those books. I loved it. Give me a bully. Carden and Jude. And then I think it was last year I read, I forget what the book is called, but it's a collection of short stories about them. Something about the Elf King. Anyway, it's a collection of short stories. And then I genuinely thought this was a prequel or something to do with those characters. It's completely new characters. I really, really liked it. I don't know if it's a standalone or if there are more, but it is set in the same world as the Folk of the Air series, which is The Cruel Prince and all the rest. A really cool concept because the town they live in has a mix of fae and humans, and the humans know about the fae and all the magical things going on in their world. And they just live cohesively. They just live together. It was quite a quick read because I'd read the other series, so the world was pretty familiar to me. I liked the characters. She was kind of mean. Our main girl, what's her name? Hazel. She was pretty cool. She has a brother and a close friend group, and they're kind of solving a mystery of this prince who was in a coffin and sleeping for many, many years, and then suddenly one day he's not there anymore. So he clearly woke up, unraveled a lot of things, and then Hazel is having weird nightmares and can't remember what she does at night. Cool premise. I don't think I would continue it if there is another one, but it was a good read. It was enjoyable. I also read this month Circe by Madeline Miller, and wow, this has been so long overdue. I read Song of Achilles last year in the summer, and I loved it so much. I did not cry because I rarely cry from books, but it was close. I adored that book. Their love story is so beautiful. I loved the writing. I thought the writing was so beautiful. It felt lyrical and poetic, and it was gorgeous. So of course I went and bought Circe, which is the same author. I kind of wish I had read this one first because it did not live up to the Song of Achilles for me personally. I also thought this was a romance for some reason. I don't know, just because the last one had a big emphasis on the romance. It was a whirlwind of emotions. It was a roller coaster from start to finish, but I listened to majority of it on audiobook and then just finished the last 20, I think, pages last night on my physical copy because I really dislike reading hardcover books, but for some reason I bought this one hardcover. It just didn't hit the same. I think I was not really looking for this type of read. I don't know how to articulate what I'm thinking. I guess I just really thought I'd get a beautiful romance, but with Greek mythology elements, and I love Greek mythology. I was born in Cyprus, pretty close to Greece, and I've just always loved it. When I was younger, I read that one series where it was the goddess school, I think. I love Greek mythology. It just didn't meet my expectations. And sadly, as we know, happiness equals reality minus expectations. So just because I thought it would be something else, it didn't hit as hard. But it's still very well written. Last night, I also finished A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. I have a lot of opinions. Overall, enjoyed it. It gave me 50 Shades vibes. There was a specific moment, I think a bit over halfway, where I finished reading a chapter and I just thought to myself, I've read this story before. It was so funny because the whole time she's thinking to herself the contract, or I can't tell him what I really want, or I just want my freedom, but he's only with me because of the contract, when based off his actions and his words to you, Persephone, we all know Hades was just in love with her. Maybe it's because we're lacking the dual POV. I'm pretty sure it's third person. Yes, it is third person. Okay, that might be what also just made me roll my eyes a lot of the time, because what she was thinking or saying just did not add up with clearly how he felt about her. That aggravates me when it's someone's being so oblivious and not understanding that someone cares for them. Oh, that's my pet peeve in books. I really don't like it. There's one thing to be miscommunication trope, right? Normal people, top tier book, love it. But in this book, it was kind of stupidity. It was her being like, oh my god, if I break the contract, he'll never see me again. It was still a good read. The smutty stuff was, I really liked it. Really liked it. Hades did not feel like god of the underworld. He felt like a little softy. Other than the scenes in bed, he was nice. And that's fine, but I went into this really thinking that I would get an enemies to lovers because Hades and Persephone, like, I don't know, just everything you hear about them, you know, he's kind of an ass. Not the case, which is fine. It was still a good book. And this is one of the reasons I don't give star ratings, because I don't know how to articulate how I even feel about it, let alone rank it out of 5. I think it was a good book. I read it pretty fast. Whenever I would pick it up, I'd quickly get lost in it. The romance was not that developed. They fell in love so fast. Oh, another big pet peeve of mine that happened in this book quite often was, okay, a chapter would end, and then the next chapter, the first paragraph would just say, they'd spent the past 3 weeks together, like falling deeper in love. Okay, show me. I'm not just gonna read that and believe you, like, oh yeah, now they have a deeper connection. Like, now they're in love, you know? I need to read the moments and the conversations and the actions that lead to that. I sound like I'm ranting a lot, but I still liked it. It was a good book. I'm not continuing with the series for sure, though. This was enough of that. And the last book, this barely counts. This is kind of like a gag read. Basically, in my TBR jar, I picked out Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, and I nearly had a heart attack. So I went on to Audible. We have like Audible Plus or something, or I think when you have a subscription, I don't know, my dad and I use it. There are quite a few titles that are free, especially classics. Like, I found so many on there that are Audible originals that are classics. So I looked for Great Expectations, and I found this shortened version. I think it was 2.5 hours or 3 hours. I put that on 1.5 speed, and on a bus ride home from somewhere where I went to with my friends, I listened to it. I got the gist of the story. I'm sure it was like a super condensed version, but I got the plot. I got the characters' names, maybe not all of them, but the main characters. So I count that as I read it. I need to put myself first, and although I want to get through my whole TBR, I also want to enjoy reading. So I'm not going to force myself to read something I don't want, which, yes, kind of goes against the whole point of a TBR jar, but I'm not gonna think that far ahead. And there you have it. Oh my gosh, all 9 books I read this month. I am currently reading Icebreaker by Hannah Grace and falling madly in love. I'm definitely planning to come back to YouTube full speed, and I think my next video is gonna be like sports romances because I eat them up so fast. Oh, I'm just so happy. This has been such a long video. I see like my timer running on my phone filming it, and I'm worried for me editing this, but I'm so happy to be back filming videos. I love reading, and my book talk, you should follow me, and my Bookstagram, which I just started last night because I've been a boomer for far too long and did not have Instagram, and it's time to change that because I just want to make friends online to talk to books. Ella and I just want you to love us, and that's why she's the star of my handle everywhere. It's my cat's book life. It's her book life, not mine. It's hers. Thank you so much for watching. If you have made it this far, I love you. Have a lovely day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you very, very soon. If you've read any of these books, let me know your thoughts, because clearly I don't articulate mine very well. I just run in circles. But yeah, okay, bye.